Hi guys, it's Emily from Cheese and Quackers Homestead. If you're not already familiar with us from our other socials, we are a small upstate New York homestead that focuses primarily on raising waterfowl. And today, okay, goodbye oatmeal. We are in my brand new duck pen today, kind of brand new. We actually had some of this pen already built and we were utilizing it as a bachelor flock last year. We renovated it and turned it into a larger, more usable living space for our ducks. I'm separating out some birds from my big bantam flock and making a small breeding project flock. So that's what this pen is going to be used for. Going into building this pen, I've already built quite a few duck enclosures. And two, at this point in my duck keeping career, I not only have really good ideas on how to make a very enriching pen, I also have really good ways to make sure that maintenance is easy, keep down moisture, keep the environment as clean as possible, because we all know that ducks can be super, super messy. As of right now, this pen is housing 4 bantam ducks. So it's not housing very many birds. So this is definitely an example of a good pen setup for a small flock. I actually do plan on expanding this pen more. We're going to be blowing this wall out and adding additional run space. I do plan on having a larger flock than I have right now in here. I just have to grow out some birds in order to do that. So I'm going to give you guys a tour, give you guys some ideas if you're looking to set up your very first duck pen. This one is very bantam oriented. So everything that I'm going to be showing you today, if you're planning on setting up a pen for standard size ducks, expect to make a much larger space. Bantam ducks being smaller, they make less mess and they just require overall less space. So that's why this setup kind of works for them. As far as my standards go, because people always do ask this, I really don't like penning up my standards. I like to range my standards on a pasture with a fence. That's entirely up to you. You could definitely go for a setup like this if you have standards and you really want that extra security, or you live in a high predator pressure area. We have dogs here, so typically we don't have that many predators. Our biggest concern is aerial predators, and our geese honestly do a very good job of deterring anything that comes around when it comes to those. So my standard flock is relatively covered. I mean, I can never be 100% sure they're safe. However, with my bantam ducks being separated and not having a goose in their flock, they really need that overhead aerial protection because they're very, very small birds and a very carryable weight for most aerial predators. I like to keep my bantams in a covered aviary, so that's the styles we have here. I can also do a tour of my large flock pen if you guys would like me to at some point, but we'll start here. I love this setup. I think it's awesome. I'm excited to expand it. I'm excited to work on this breeding project that I'm doing. We're doing white call ducks in this pen only. Without further ado, we'll get into the little tour. Here's the new duck pen in all of its glory. This is the old bachelor flock. We had a run and a coop already existing, and we just added this little bump out to insert a pond and a pond deck. So we built off of a pre-existing setup. I could not tell you the exact dimensions of this pen. But if you're planning your build, I'll put up on the screen here the rule of thumb for the dimensions for coops and runs for both standard and bantam sized ducks. I'm going to show you guys the inside of the coop. I'm warning you now, it is not very interesting. It's just a box with some bedding in it and a nesting box because the hens in here are mature enough to be laying eggs. For bedding inside the coop, we are currently using pine shavings. I prefer hemp for waterfowl, but this is what we had on hand. Enter the run. The ducks have a little duck-sized doorway, but I plan to replace this with an automatic door eventually. Overnight housing is where you want to crack down the most when it comes to predator security, so we like to use 2 latch systems. Make sure that all ventilation gaps are covered with a minimum of a 1/2 inch 19 gauge hardware cloth. Little tip, grab yourself a 2-way handle. This stops you from getting locked in the coop. It saved my life many times. I will take a look at the run. Although our runs are daytime use only, we still like to keep them very, very secure. Here's kind of a big view of the run that we have right now. We're only housing 4 ducks, like I said earlier, so this run isn't really that big. However, it gets the job done for what we have in here. Keep their feed and water source in the run. I like these duck feeders and waterers from Tractor Supply. It's nice and deep so that they can fully submerge their bill. Since our hens are at laying age, we have oyster shell out for them because they do live with a drake, and you don't want to be feeding your drake a layer feed, so they need supplemental oyster shell on the side. As far as grit for ducks, it's not nearly as important for ducks to have grit access as it is for like chickens, but we still put it out sometimes and they can take it if they need it. For the most part, they forage their own grit, and they're also on a crumble feed, so it's definitely not as necessary for them. For our run substrate, we use a mixture of pea gravel and river rock, which are smooth stone to prevent bumble. It allows for good drainage, and to clean it off, all you have to do is hose it down. These ducks are flighted, so they don't always use the ramp, but especially if you're housing standards, you're probably going to need to incorporate ramps in order for them to get up into any higher area. This one is actually a dog ramp for a car that I disassembled into 2 pieces to make it work for ducks. I'm very fond of these pond deck style style setups for ducks because it keeps the pond elevated, which is so much easier because you can install a drain into the pond for easy drainage. This is literally just done with a shower drain and a PVC pipe. We use Trex decking for our pond decks, and that's because it is a rot-proof material. Now, the thing with Trex decking, if you do plan to use it, is one, it's really pricey, and two, it's very prone to heating up in the sun. So what that means is that you have to incorporate some kind of shade. We actually don't have shade on this right now, and that's because it is March in New York, so it's still cold here. So this isn't heating up right now, but I'll have to set up some shade in order to ensure that we don't burn any little duck feet. The good news is the shade works perfectly to make sure that this thing does not get hot, so it works great. You can definitely use some kind of treated or sealed wood for this project. I think the Trex decking is awesome because you are hosing this down a lot in order to maintain it and keep it clean, so that's why I like it. It's gonna last a lot longer, and you don't have that rot issue that you can run into with wood. We take predator security super seriously in all of our duck enclosures, so I'm gonna go over a few things that are really important. First thing, just like in the coop, this thing is fully enclosed in a minimum of 19 gauge half-inch hardware cloth. It's not only on all of the walls, but under the ground around the coop as well. We use a dig skirt method. It involves skirting the outside of the pen at least 12 inches out with hardware cloth as well. If you're securing your hardware cloth, you're not gonna wanna be using nails because those are easily pushed through, so we like to use screws and washers. Or you can sandwich your hardware cloth between two wood boards. For the pond itself, since this is a smaller flock, they just have a 50-gallon hardliner plastic Rubbermaid stock tank thing. I want to say I got this at Tractor Supply as well, and we do have the shower drain installed in the bottom for easy cleanouts. When it comes to swimming water access, how much you want to give is just how much you want to maintain. Smaller water sources with more ducks is going to be more often cleanouts, and bigger water sources with less ducks is going to be less frequent cleanouts, so it's entirely up to you. Last real aspect of this coop is I have these little A-frame huts. I like to provide these for all of my ducks to get them out of the wind, especially if it's like cold outside. I add some straw for a soft surface for them to get their feet off of the rock and take a break. I often like to use these to lay eggs or nap. I really love to incorporate greenery into my ducks' pens. Whatever plants I can get in there and keep them from eating, I like to put in. I haven't really started that project in this coop yet, but I'm working on it. You can see it. I got one tree here. It's the only one I've picked up so far. For just these 4 ducks and this pen has been working fantastic. They're all super happy in here. I gauge for whether or not my ducks are happy inside their pen is when I open the run door and leave it open, do they all try to run out, or do they all kind of stay in place because they like where they are? And these guys are staying right in place. They have no interest in coming out of their pen, really. Which to me, that means I did a good job. Now, your ducks could definitely try to come out of the pen even if you did an awesome job setting it up. Some ducks are just different, but I know that these guys are happy right here. And that's it. That's really all I got for this one. That is the pen so far. I can do an update as we expand this run a little bit more. We're probably going to get started on that next month. I'm really excited about this pen. I think this would be an awesome beginner setup. You can obviously make adaptations to it as you see fit for both your land and your budget. If you want to learn more about keeping waterfowl, don't forget to check out the Duck Ladies podcast. Me and Chrissy Ellis from Dunkin' Ducks have a waterfowl specific podcast where you can learn more about your ducks if you have them, or learn more before you get your very first batch of ducks. Comment below and let me know your favorite waterfowl pen tips or ways that you found have kept your ducks really tidy or happy. Don't forget to subscribe for more homesteading and waterfowl related content. And that's all I got for this one. Bye guys.